I would say the mission is literally to fill in the gaps. You know, when we started the magazine, there was definitely something missing from music journalism. No one was even touching jazz, soul, funk, or anything like that. So what I was trying to do was essentially look at hip hop through that lens.
We were part of this audience and we knew there is an audience out there. And we also knew people are wanting something new, something different, actually wanting something old. And that was the key. People, you know, digging for old records, and it seemed like everyone you met had old record collections.
It's through hip hop. Young people come to this older music. It's hearing someone sample something and say, oh, yo, I gotta find that record that, you know, Primo or Dr. Dre or whoever used on this track. So it's sort of like, you know, it's like a time machine. You use hip hop to travel back to pick up on everything that's happened before.
Intelligent people buy Wax Poetics magazine. That's all you can say. I mean, it's a magazine, you know, based on culture of music, you know, not a hip hop thing, not a soul thing, just people that are into vinyl, they're into just good music, and that's what Wax Poetics is about, and that's the type of clientele that come to Fappy looking for Wax Poetics.
I felt like this was the first time someone's ever made a magazine dedicated to people like myself. You know, there's a lot of people out here who want to know more about the stories behind the records that they have. I mean, every single issue that comes out has someone featured in it who's probably lingering in my collection somewhere.
We dabble in the new and the old. So, you know, I try to make sure we've got a good balance of everything. You know, the last issue we've got Betty Davis and Too Short on the cover, but we've got Ornette Coleman article on the inside as well. You know, when you're reading about these guys, you know, there's got to be some sort of visual cue, especially for record collectors.
Because they're all so cool. They're very vintage. They're hard to find records. And I'm really into like the cover design. Bitter Acid, Mauricio Smith. Something like this. You would never see this.
When you can see visually 2 pages of album covers, it's a lot easier when you're going around looking for records and you remember, oh yeah, I've seen that record.
A sample of some of his more descriptive song titles suggests Donato's comfort with musical hybrids. Lacking a name for his style of music, Donato's is a distinct sound, immediately recognizable from the first few bars of any of his tunes. He was funky back when funk was a bad word. Listen to either of his 1960s Brazilian LPs for proof. His compositions are deceptively simple, while his arrangements are harmonically complex, resulting in songs that are seemingly childlike, yet reveal their intricate details upon repeated listening. I think that's maybe probably what separates the people who read Wax Poetics and people who read, you know, Rolling Stone or something, is I want to know about music that I don't know about. You know, like when I go out to a club, I want to hear music that I don't know. I don't want to hear the hits that I can listen to at home. And what I like about Wax Poetics is I open it up and I get the story about all these different people that I may have heard about, but I didn't know the full story.
I mean, the content, it blows everyone else away. It's so deep in content. It's like an encyclopedia of music and culture. It's, you know, something you can keep and refer to, you know, years and years later.
I wanted to create something that, you know, when you finish reading it, there would be no way that you would ever think about putting it in the trash. So people who are passionate about this stuff, they know if I miss that issue, that's gonna be it.
I mean, you can put Betty Davis on the cover of a magazine and those who know will buy it. I mean, she's definitely a pretty face that won't hurt sales of a magazine, even though she's not the star that she should have been. I think somebody who buys and reads Wax Poetics is on it from just a different level than, who doesn't worship at the church of hot right nowism.
If you open up most of these magazines, you see the same people in every single one. And this is, like I said, we try to fall in between the cracks. If there's an artist that's out, that's hot, and everybody's on it, you're not going to find him in Wax Poetics. There's enough magazines out there doing that. We were really trying to create the magazine that we wanted to read.
And for me, it's the best magazine in the world. Like, it's my favorite magazine for music. Because what it does is it kind of bridges the gap between an older generation and the newer generation. You get like people who may be in their 50s or 60s that were avid jazz collectors or soul collectors, music lovers that were buying records since the 50s, 60s, and they could get into it, as well as like the young hip hop kid who's like 18, 19, who's curious about grooves and breaks or hip hop in general.
I got a letter the other day. A kid told me, I'm reading the issue. I gave it to my dad. My older brother's reading it, and then my mom stole it because she wanted to read an article. So it's like when I can attack 4 or 5 people in a family with one magazine, across generational, then I know we're on the right path.
We came in to change the model, and that's sort of what we did. We said, no, you can actually have a magazine that is smart, looks nice, and advertisers will want to be a part of that audience. In another 20 years, there'll be even more people wanting to learn about this old music. It's not going to be less people. It's always going to be more people, and that's what we learn every day. Every day there's new people saying, just discovered Wax Poetics, and we're like, oh, that's interesting. People are still discovering. Well, these are 16-year-old kids. But it's like we always said, no matter what, we know what we're doing is good. So we're not going to change this. And in the end, it's going to come through.
I'm on a mission here. I mean, this is something that drives me every day. I'm inspired by this music, by these stories that these people tell, and some of them are not going to be around much longer. It's important that we get them now, get this thing down in print, and have it preserved for future generations. And so this is Wax Poetics. I mean, I understand from what they've gone through and some of the experiences that we've had growing up with hip hop, how this all fits together. And this is really just our way of saying, hey, thank you.